LightFactory Tutorial 2 Patching. So I feel that the best way to show you how to patch lights is to actually have kind of a fictitious theatrical setup. So I created a small theater setup here. We have 3 bars that we have our lights mounted on. On the first bar here, which we'll call electric 1, we have 5 conventional source 4 lights. I have them numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm treating this like kind of a traditional high school community theater. So on electric 1, I'd actually have 10 DMX locations where I can plug in to connect with the dimmer rack. So light 1 is actually plugged into dimmer location DMX 1. Light 2 is DMX 3. Light 3 is DMX 5. Light 4 is DMX 8. And light 5 is DMX 10. This would be very similar to what you would encounter if you were plugging lights into an electric that are controlled by a dimmer rack. Same here on electric 2. I have 5 more traditional source 4 lights, and I numbered them fixtures 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And you can see that this one is DMX 11, DMX 13, DMX 15, DMX 18, DMX 20. So in this small theater, I basically have a dimmer rack that controls DMX addresses 1 through 20, and I can plug in conventional ellipsoidals or source 4 lamps into that. Then if we go back and look here on electric 1, I have 2 Chauvet Rogue R1 spots, 19 channels. So they're powered and they're plugged into DMX addresses 200 and 220. So they've just got a DMX cable attached to them. And I label these as fixtures 28 and 29. On electric 2, I have some color wash lights. I labeled these as fixtures number 21, 22, 23, and 24. And you can see their DMX addresses are 40, 60, 80, and 100. And then back on the upstage electric, which I call electric 3, I have some wash lights to wash my cyc. And these are Chauvet Colorband H9s running in 18 channel mode. This is fixture 25, 26, 27. DMX addresses are 120, 140, and 160. You're welcome to take a screenshot of this and then print it out as you refer as we work along through the tutorial. But I think this will give us a good idea on how to program different types of fixtures into LightFactory. So let's begin. We have 5 ellipsoidal lights on the front electric here, and we're labeling them fixtures 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with addresses 1, 3, 5, 8, and 10. So let's go ahead and patch these into the system. So in my LightFactory, I'm going to simply click on patch or hit your F7 function button. And again, all of the windows in LightFactory are resizable. So whatever size it comes up, I'm just going to grab this bottom and resize it. And the program, at least for the patch window, will remember what I did as far as resizing the next time I bring this window up. So I'm just going to resize it so that it fills the entire screen for me here. Then I'm going to just take this middle bar, slide this over, so I get the window looking the way I would like it to be. So over here is where we're going to actually do our patching. These are DMX indicators over here, and this is a library lookup down here where we can look up certain types of fixtures. We do have the ability to actually create fixtures that may not occur in this library, and we'll do that in another tutorial. First of all, let's start out with the patch. You'll probably find that the program has patched everything 1-to-1, and we really don't want that. We want to be able to patch our fixtures, so we don't need a 1-to-1 patch. So I'm going to go up here to Options and select Clear Patch, and I'm going to say All Channels. And say, warning, this operation will clear all patching information. That's what I want to do. I want to clear all the patching information out from there. Now, I'm going to go down here and click on Conventional, and I could either select ellipsoidal, or I'm going to go down here to where it says Source 4, because I happen to be using Source 4 lights, and it will show me that. And here under quantity, I'm going to say 5 by increasing that and clicking on plus. So I have 5 of these Source 4s. What you're going to notice is as I move my arrow up here, I will see 5 of the DMX addresses highlighted with a blue highlight that shows me that I'm going to be using 5 DMX addresses to patch these 5 lights. Now, if you remember, light 1 was set at address 1, and then we had some different addresses. So let's just go ahead and do that and show you. So I'm going to go up to DMX address 1, and I want this to start with fixture 1. So I press click, drag this over to here, and then drop it, and it will now put those fixtures in order. So I have fixtures 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And starting with light number 1, this is Universe 1 DMX address 1. Now, it's not quite correct for us because if you remember, this was DMX address 1, 3, 5, 8, and 10. But it's easy to change that. We're going to start down here, highlight that, and simply type from our numeric keypad 1, period, 10, hit enter. So now that's DMX Universe 1 address 10. We'll do the same thing here and make this 1, period, 8. So it's DMX Universe 1 address 8. We'll click here and say 1, period, 5. And we'll click here and say 1, period, 3. We do have our lights put in there then now at the correct addresses. And this is the easiest way, is to simply select the lights that way, then you can go and edit their addresses. So we have the correct numbers, fixtures 1 through 5, and now the correct DMX addresses. Now, before we go too far, we're going to go into what we call visible columns here and select what columns we would want to see. As you can see when I click on this, there's tons of information that we could see about the lights. I really don't need to have all this information, so I'm going to uncheck quite a bit of it. I would like to see the fixture, the patch address, the fixture make and model, the defaults, the position, the purpose, the color, and the fixture type. So go ahead and select those particular things. If you want to freeze the video at this point so you can see which ones are chosen. The rest of these selections are really not necessary, but it's possible. If you want to have them displayed, you can do that. Now, what we're going to do before we go any further is fill in some of this information. That will help us when we go to select lights. It's going to automatically assign some groups for us if we type the information into these descriptor fields here. So let's go ahead and do that. So for position, I'm going to just say E1 for electric 1. And I can simply copy that, Control C, and then just Control V and paste this down here like we're doing a spreadsheet. Purpose, I'm going to say front of house, so FOH. And same thing here, I'm just going to copy that and then paste. So for front of house. So I have a location, they're on electric 1, and I have a purpose, front of house. Now for color, since these are traditional source 4 lamps, we'll have to put a gel in them for color. That will actually group the lights by color gel that's in them, which is extremely helpful when we go to choose lights and get lights illuminated. So we're going to go to color here. And I can simply click on this menu button on the side here, and we can go from a palette, we can go from here, but I'm going to go to filters, and I am using Roscoe filters, so I'm going to select Roscoe, and these particular lights are using the dark bastard amber, which is R3, so I'll select that and say select, and then now that's there. Or you can simply type in R03 and that will put that in. So again, we can select that, copy it, paste it in. The lights have been assigned a color gel. So we've got our first 5 source 4 lamps put in there. Let's take a look at our next 5 that we need to do. So these are lights 6 through 10. And their DMX addresses 11 through 20. You can also use command line processing in here if you wish to. And we have our source 4 lights selected already over here. And if I click on that, it'll show 5 source 4s. I can click over in the patch window here and go 6 through 10. So this is fixtures 6 through 10, and I simply typed 6/10 on my numeric keypad. Hit the star button on the numeric keypad. It will give us the @ key. And now I can just say 1.11 would be universe 1 starting with DMX address 11. But if I want to, I can specify certain addresses. So I can actually type in, let's see where we want, 11, 13, 15, 18, and 20. So I can type in here at 11, 13, 15, 18, 20, and hit enter, and it put them in for us then. So there's our source 4s in at addresses 11, 13, 15, 18, and 20. So sometimes it is a little bit more expeditious if you know how to type things into the command line, and we didn't have to go back and edit as we did here. But again, we could have done it the same way, where we simply went up and selected DMX address 11, drug it over to 6 here and dropped it, and then went in and corrected them. Now let's do the same thing here. I'm going to take just a minute and type in our information. So this is going to be electric 2. These we're simply going to label as downstage. I'll just put DS for downstage. We're going to put a different color gel in these lamps. So I'm going to go to my gel selector again and say Roscoe, because that's the gels that I'm using. And for these particular ones, let's say I am going to use Fire, which is R19, and say select. So again, I can just simply copy that R19 down. All right, so we have all of those labeled. Next, let's go ahead and program our wash lights, 21, 22, 23, 24. And the reason that I left a gap in the fixture numbers, I left a gap in here because remember, my first 2 electrics, I have the possibility of plugging in up to 20 different lamps. So I'm just leaving some room in here in case I decide to plug in some more source 4 lamps in my setup. So I'm starting my wash lights at fixture number 21. And again, keep that in mind. These are just numbers that are assigned to the fixtures. These are the actual DMX addresses in this column. So we're going to go with 21. Now, if you remember, we're working with Chauvet color dash par H12X's, and we want them in 12 channel mode. So this is where we're going to start using the library here. So I'm going to go to this particular area, highlight this, and just start typing Chauvet. And you see that it starts to come up with a list. Space, hyphen, space, now color dash. And you can see some more selections come up here. Par. And you see that we're narrowing down in here. So color dash par, and here is our hex 12, and we want this in 12 channel mode. So I simply select it, and then we're going to be putting in 4 of these lights, and we're starting at DMX address number 40. So I'm simply going to go back over here, and you'll notice now that we have a whole bunch of blue squares highlighted because each one of these lamps is 12 channels, and we're programming in 4 of them. So that is 48 channels of DMX that we're going to be using up. So I'm going to select my DMX address 40 here and click and drag and drop it over here at 21 for the first light. So I have 40, 52, 64, and 76. Remember that we wanted to set these at 40, 60, 80, and 100. So I'm just going to go in and edit them here. So I'm going to say 1.100, change that address, 1.80, and change this to 1.60. So now we have them all set at the correct addresses. The position, these are on electric 2. So I'm going to say E2. And then purpose, we're going to say downstage wash. So DS wash. And we've already got a fixture type. Color, we don't have to involve with that because we have enough descriptors here. Before I go any further, notice that over here now that these are programmed, it shows us DMX addresses, and because of the fixture, it actually shows us what is at each DMX address. DMX address 40 is the dimmer channel, then red, green, blue, amber, white, UV, the strobe channel, color macros, auto programming, auto, speed, and dimmer speed. So it's kind of neat that it actually shows you over here in the DMX patching what each of the channels does on each of the lights. Next thing we're going to need to do is patch our Chauvet color band H9 18 channel mode. And this will be light 25, 26, 27. We're starting at DMX address 120. So let's go Chauvet color band H9. Chauvet space hyphen space color band Chauvet color band H9 USB mode 2 18 channel. We'll select that. We've got 3 of these lights that we're going to patch, and we're going to be starting at DMX address 120. So again, I could use the drag and drop, but I can also just go over here and say 25 through 27, because that's the numbers we're assigning them at, and simply type in 120, and then it will automatically assign them for me. Then I can just go in and adjust these DMX addresses. We'll change this to 160. So 1.160. We'll change this to 140. 1.140. So we have them at 120, 140, and 160 that they're set up. And again, if we look over here now, we can see these models of lights and see what the channels are doing. So if we actually look over here, we can see what the channels are doing starting at 120. Red, green, blue, amber, white, UV. Red, green, blue, amber, white, UV. Red, green, blue, amber, white, UV. These particular lights have 3 segments that can be controlled individually. So you can control the colors of the 3 different segments and have different colors in each of the 3 segments. And we're going to show you that also in programming mode. But that is why I selected this particular fixture. So we're going to again put down a position. These are going to be electric 3, so E3. We'll label these as psych because they're going to be lighting the psych curtain in the back. All right, we just have one more set of lights to include in our patch, and that is our Rogue R1s up front. So we're going to label this as 28 and 29, DMX address 200 and 220. We want the Rogues to be in a 19 channel mode. So let's see if we can find those in the library. So Chauvet, don't forget to type space, hyphen space, Rogue, and that kind of brings us up here. And we're going to use the older model R1 spot in a 19 channel mode, which is right here. So the Chauvet Rogue R1 spot, mode 1, 19 channel. We simply have 2 of these, and we're going to start them at DMX address 200, and it's going to be light 28 and 29. So I'm going to use the drag and drop method here again. I'm just going to go to my DMX address 200 here and press, drag this over to 28 and drop it in there. And there we have 28 and 29. We're just going to fix this. This is going to be 200 and this light is going to be at 220. So 1.220. And there we have it set. These are positioned on electric 1, and we're going to just call these spots. All right, so we actually have everything all patched in and ready to go and ready to program. I did want to show you something though with our fancier lights. So the default column, you're not seeing anything coming up, but this is important also. If I click on the default column here, it brings up a menu over here and it shows me what my defaults are for this particular fixture. Why that is important is when we start programming and we hit the home key, it's going to set an intelligent fixture to its home settings or its default settings. So for example, this color dash par hex 12, its default settings are for the dimmer to be at 0, the strobe to be at 100, which I'm assuming is that strobe is off, And then the red, green, blue, amber, and white channels are set to their maximum of DMX address 255. That means with this particular fixture, all you need to do is raise the level of the dimmer channel and you will have light, but you will have white light. So in order to change the color, you're going to need to go into these color channels and change them. So if you don't like that, you can actually go in the patch here and set these to be 0 so that you not only have to turn on your dimmer channel, but then you have to turn on one of the color channels to actually get color. It just depends upon which way you want to work. In this way, it's going to start with a white light, which then you have to adjust the channels to get to the color that you want it to. And again, when you hit the home button, it's going to go to the default settings. Let's look at something a little more complex like the Rogue R1 and the defaults on that. And again, you can see actually we have default pan and tilt settings here, which I'm guessing is going to make it actually point straight down. They're kind of assuming that you're going to have these lights pointing straight down. You're going to hang them up on a bar, and the default settings are going to make it go to the halfway pan position and the halfway tilt position. In other words, pointed right at the floor. If you need to change these home settings for pan and tilt, this is where you would do it right here. The focus lens is set at 127, which I imagine is about halfway through focus. And then the gobo index rotation is set at 32, which I'm imagining is probably open. So you can see why these home settings might be important. If there's anything in here you need to change, like the focus to be your home setting, this is where you would change it in the patch window. So anytime you hit that home key, which we're going to be using in the program tutorial, then it would go to these home settings. So that is where you adjust the home settings. If you need to clear a patch, it's a very simple process. It's most easily done using the command line. So I patched in, as an example here, just a couple of ellipsoidals, and it's fixture 15, 16, 17, 18. If I just wanted to clear the patch for fixture number 15, I simply type in the command line here, 15 at enter, and it will clear it right out. If you'd like to clear a range of fixtures, so example, say I want to clear fixtures 16 through 18, then I simply type 16 through 18 at enter, and then it'll clear those out. That about does it. All we have to do now is go up here to options and down to the bottom and say save patch and close window. And that patch will be saved and closed. And now we can go to the next tutorial, which is actually programming and getting lights on the stage.